And he decided to take rest there, and he said to Lakshman, "Oh, you can construct one hut here out of dry grass, and we will stay here for some time." So Lakshmanji, he was constructing the hut out of dry grass, and Lord Ram, he was sitting under the banyan tree with his back against the trunk, and he was smiling and feeling great joy. So one name for joy in Sanskrit is mode. And so that mode, so where that place where Lord Ram was experiencing mode, great joy, under a druma tree on the Dweep, on one island of Navadvip Dam, is called Modrumadwip. And so as Lord Ram was smiling, Sita Devi, she asked, later on, she asked, my dear Lord, why are you smiling? What pastimes are you remembering? And so Krishna, young baby Krishna in Braj Mandal, Mother Yashoda had bathed him, nicely decorated him, dressed him very nicely, and she sent him outside to play. So little baby Krishna, he went outside to play, and he discovered a new game, rolling in cow dung. So little baby Krishna was rolling in cow dung, and then after some time he was getting attacked by the demon of hunger. So he was very hungry, and he decided to go and drink the breast milk of Mother Yashoda. So he went back in the house, tracking dirt and cow dung into the house, and then Mother Yashoda saw him and said, "Hey, what is this? I just bathed you and I just decorated you very nicely." And then Krishna was saying, "Oh, Mama, I'm so hungry. I want to drink milk." And then Mother Yashoda said, "No, you will not have my breast milk." And little baby Krishna was saying, "Oh, but Mama, I'm so hungry." And looking at the state of little baby Krishna, of little Gopal, Mother Yashoda said, "Why are you so dirty? Were you a pig in your previous life?" And then Krishna was thinking of his Varaha avatar. And he was thinking, yes, how did she know? And so Mother Yashoda, sometimes when she's too busy to give her breast to baby Krishna, Krishna has two wet nurses, Ambika and Kalambika. And so little baby Krishna, those two wet nurses, they took birth, they descended in Gauralila. And in Gauralila, Ambika, she descended as the wife Kalindi, who was the wife of Srivas Thakur. And Nityananda Prabhu, he used to stay in the house of Srivas Thakur, and he used to drink the breast milk of Kalindi. And
how old was he? How old was he?
He must have been a young boy at that point.
No, he was a grown man.
Really?
30 years old.
Oh.
Yeah, well, he's 25. So it's very unusual.
Yes.
And she was a very old lady.
Mm.
Shouldn't have had breast milk. Right? They had so much.
Vatsalya.
Vatsalya.
So, and then Kalambika, she incarnated as, so there was Ambika, descended as Kalindi, the wife of Srivas Thakur, and Kalimbika, she incarnated as Srivas Thakur's niece, and her name was Narayani. And when she was about 5 years old, Narayani, she used to take the remnants directly from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He used to feed her. And so when she got a little older and she came of age, then in Mamgachi, she gave birth to one son. And that son was Vrindavan Das Thakur. So his mother had directly taken the remnants of Nityananda, the Kanda Guru Tattva himself. And then taking those remnants, he saw the pastimes of, he was empowered to share the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his Chaitanya Bhagavat. So that's a little background of the Mamgachi in the place of Vrindavan Das Thakur. So Lord Ram, he was sitting under this banyan tree, experiencing great joy, and Sita Devi, she was inquiring, oh, what pastimes are you relishing? So Lord Ram, I'm sure you know the pastime, he was sent to the forest on the order of Kaikeyi, and his father, Dasarat Maharaj, sent him into the forest. And Lord Ram, without questioning it, he followed the order of his father. Lord Ram himself has actually said, if my father instructs me to jump in fire, I will do it. If my father tells me to drink poison, I will do it. If my father instructs me to jump in the middle of the ocean, I will do it. So Lord Ram is Maryada Purushottam. He's showing us the perfect example of how to follow our Gurujan, how to follow our seniors. So Lord Ram, he went into the forest, dressed in tree bark, and he grew jata, dreadlock long hair. And how beautiful he looked, walking through the forest in front. Behind him was Sita Devi, and then behind Sita Devi was Lakshman. And as they were walking through the forest, like I've already mentioned, they came to this place, Mamgachi. And so Lord Ram, he was sitting under the tree, and he was contemplating his pastimes. And then Lord Ram said to Sita Devi, when the Kali Yuga comes, I will take birth in this Modrumadwip Dham. And my mother, Kushalya, she will take birth as Sachimata. And my father, Dasarat Maharaj, he will take birth as Jagannath Mishra. And you, Sita Devi, you will be my wife, Vishnupriya. And I will relish the beautiful pastimes with my associates of Harinam Sankirtan. And then when I am 24 years old, I will take sannyas, and I will leave you, and you will be weeping in the arms of Sachimata, and I will go off to the forest. Hearing this, Sita was shocked, and she said, oh, but Ram, you are so kind. Why would you do such a cruel pastime? And then Lord Ram said to Sita, you should know that love is relished in two parts, Sambhograsa and Vipralambarasa. So this Vipralamba, this means the mellow of love and separation, and Sambhog means the mellow of love and union, love and meeting. And the devotees, they always desire Sambhograsa, to meet with their beloved Lord. But I always give them Vipralambarasa, love and separation. Because when the lover and the beloved, when they're together, oh, they're very, very happy. But because they are externally, they are seeing each other, but something inside is lacking. But in separation, they completely forget all things. Just like the gopis, they put down their baby, left the milk boiling, only kajal on one eye, they left everything, completely oblivious to everything external, and they just went running to Krishna in the Rasa Leela. So that love and separation, it purifies the devotees. And that love and separation, it dances on the head of all other types of happiness. And even the happiness of meeting, it cannot come to its zenith, its highest point, without first being nourished by the fire of love and separation. But still, this may seem somewhat harsh. But Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Ye yatha mam pradapyante tam taiva bhajamaham. I reciprocate accordingly. How you approach Krishna, I reciprocate. So, I'm sure we all know the pastime quite well. Ram, in his Leela, he was searching through the forest looking for Sita Devi, because Sita Devi, she was kidnapped by Ravana. And when she was kidnapped by Ravana, really Maya Sita, which was kidnapped by Ravana, she was taken to Lanka, and she was held captive in a Ashok Batika, in a garden of Ashok trees. And Sita Devi, she was there in a garden of Ashok trees, and she was weeping, thinking of her Lord Ram. And meanwhile in the forest, Lord Ram was looking everywhere. Hasite, Hasite, where is my Sita? Where is my Sita? And then when Sita Devi was finally reunited with Lord Ram, they flew back from Lanka in a Vimana, a Pushpa flower aeroplane, back to Ayodhya. And then as they came back to Ayodhya, all the citizens of Ayodhya, they welcomed Ram and Sita with deeps. And this was an origin of Deepavali, Deep Festival. And so after some time, Lord Ram and Sita, they were enjoying with all their family members in Ayodhya. And you know, in those days, sometimes the kings, they would dress up in disguise, and they would go out into the kingdom and try to feel into the atmosphere of the kingdom, of the citizens, what's going on, try to gauge for themselves firsthand. So Lord Ram, he dressed up in disguise, and he went into Ayodhya, into the kingdom. And then there was one washerman, and this washerman's wife, she had gone out late at night. And in Vedic culture, if the woman goes out late at night and does not return till very late, you don't have to let her back in. You can keep the door locked, bas, that's it. So this washerman, his wife had gone out, and then she came back late in the evening time, and the husband refused to let her back in. And then she said to her husband, "Oh, but Sita, she was staying for 1 year in the house of another man, and Lord Ram took her back." And then that washerman said, "Well, that may be true, but I follow Dharma. I'm not like Lord Ram." And then hearing these words, oh, Lord Ram was very, very hurt. Oh, the citizens, they don't have faith in me. They don't think I follow Dharma. What to do? What to do? So he was thinking, how can I rule over the citizens of Ayodhya if they don't have faith in me? What should I do? So then he thought, I must send Sita away. So then he remembered, oh, Sita, she desires to have sadhusanga. She desires to visit the rishis in the forest and give them some pranam and pranami. So then he called Lakshman, and he said also to get the chariot ready. And he said to Lakshman, I want you to take Sita Devi to visit Valmiki Rishi in his ashram in the forest. And then when you get there, I want you to leave her there. And Lakshman, he was shocked. How can I do this? How can I carry out this order? And he was thinking, I don't want to be the younger brother anymore. I want to be the older brother. And if I'm the older brother, I won't have to follow these orders all the time, because the younger brother in Vedic culture should always follow the orders of the older brother. So that's why in Krishna Leela, Lakshman came first as Balaram, as the older brother. So then Lakshman And Sita Devi and Sumanta, the chariot driver, they got on the chariot and they went very, very long way from Ayodhya, crossed the Ganga, and they came to the ashram of Valmiki. That's in modern day Punjab. It's some distance from Amritsar, the Golden Temple. You can go there. And very nice ashram, very nice place, the ashram of Valmiki Rishi. And so when Sita Devi, she arrived and she got off the chariot and she was coming to the Bhajan Kutir of Valmiki Rishi. Two brahmacharis seen her and they went running and they said, "Oh Gurudev, oh Gurudev. One lady's coming and she's so beautiful. She's like the goddess of fortune herself." And then Valmiki came to greet her and he said, "Ah, you must be Sita Devi. I am Valmiki Rishi and I am the author of the Ramayana." And so the Ramayana is such incredible that it was written down before it even happened. Due to the blessings of Narad Rishi to Valmiki, he was given this in a seed form. And so because Valmiki is the author, he knew what chapter was coming next. So he was waiting for the arrival of Sita Devi. And then so he greeted her, and no one else knew who Sita Devi was, only Valmiki Rishi. So then Sita Devi, she was served by the other ladies of the ashram, and they just called her Bondevi, Lady of the Forest. And Lakshman said to her, "Oh, Lord Ram has instructed you must stay here." And then hearing these words, Sita Devi, she fell unconscious. She felt utterly rejected from her Lord. And then when she came back to external consciousness, she said to Lakshman, "It's okay. I'll stay here. If it causes any inconvenience to my Ram, then I am happy to stay." This is prem, divine love, no selfishness whatsoever. Devi Krishna Mai Prokta Radhika Paradevata Sava Lakshmi Mai Kanti Smohini Para. Radhika is the origin of all Lakshmis. So Sita Devi, she's one partial manifestation of Radhika. So she has brain. So Sita Devi, she stayed in the ashram of Valmiki, and Lakshman and Sumanta, they went back on the chariot towards Ayodhya. And Lakshman was thinking, actually just before they left, Sita Devi, she said to Lakshman, because Lakshman was in such great pain of leaving Sita Devi there, Sita Devi said to Lakshman, "It's okay, this is the reaction of my own sins. I have committed 2 offenses to you, Lakshman, in my life, and now that is the reason why I must suffer here in the forest away from Ram. And so the first offense that I committed to you was on my wedding night. Because ever since Lakshman was young, every evening at bedtime, he would massage the feet of Lord Ram just before he went to sleep. And he'd been doing this service his whole life. And then on the wedding night, Sita Devi, she came into the room and Lakshman was massaging the feet of Ram. And then she said, "It's the wife's job now. You're out of here." And Lakshman was heartbroken. This was his seva. And he was in a quandary what to do. So both of them, Sita Devi and Lakshman, they went to Vasishta Rishi. And they said, "What should we do?" And then Vasishta said, "Well, Lord Ram is married now, so the seva, the services, should be divided in 2. all the services inside the house will be the seva of Sita Devi, and all the services outside the house, this will be the seva of Lakshman. And so this first offense, taking away the seva of massaging the feet, this was my first offense that I committed to you. And what was the second offense that she committed to Lakshman?
Was that just before Ravana kidnapped him?
Yes. So when they were out in the forest, banished to the forest, then Marich came in the form of a golden deer. And Sita was very attracted. Oh, look at that nice sari. Look at that nice deer. And she told Ram, oh, go and get that deer. And Lord Ram, there's no such thing as a golden deer. But woman she was really liking, so Lord Ram had to go. And before he left, he told Lakshman, you stay here, you protect her, and you don't leave under any circumstances. So then, just before Lord Ram shot Marich in the form of a deer, but just before Marich left his body, he called out, oh, Lakshman, help me, in the name and the voice of Lord Ram. And then that sound came to the place where Sita and Lakshman were staying. And Sita, hearing this, oh, my lord's in trouble. And she said to Lakshman, you should go and help him. Ram's in trouble. And Lakshman thought, impossible. Ram is so powerful, no one can harm him. And then Sita Devi said, you must be a spy for Bharat, because Bharat had taken over the reign while Ram was out in the forest. So you must be a spy for Bharat. And also, because in those days, if the older brother would die, then the younger brother, they would get the wife of the older brother. So you are lusty for me. And because you want to enjoy for me, you don't care if Ram perishes. And hearing these words, it burnt Lakshman like a fire arrow. And Lakshman said, oh, but Sita, I have never even looked above your feet. Lakshman in his whole life had never even looked at Sita. He'd only ever looked at the feet of Sita. Oh, but I see you like a mother. But hearing these burning words of Sita, Lakshman, he had no choice but to go to Lord Ram. So he went out in the forest. And then when he saw Lord Ram said to him, what are you doing here? And then Lakshman said, Sita said that I'm a spy for Bharat and I'm lusty for her. And then Lord Ram said, why are you listening to the words of that woman? We must go back at once. But in the meantime, Ravana had came there. But just before Lakshman had left, he took his bow and he drew a line around the hut, and he instilled one mantra of protection. And Ravana came there in the disguise of a sannyasi, Alak Naranjan, begging for alms. And when he got to the force field, he couldn't cross any further. And then Sita Devi, seeing the sannyasi had come to beg, she puts out some fruit and said, oh, you can come and collect this. But Ravana could not cross that line of protection that Lakshman had instilled. So then Ravana, in the disguise of the sannyasi, he said, you come to me, bring me that fruit. But Sita Devi was hesitant. And then Ravana, he said, if you don't bring me that fruit and I walk away empty-handed, then I will curse your husband and he will die. And then Sita Devi, I don't want my husband to die. She crossed over the line of protection. And then soon as that happened, Ravana snatched my Sita, because true Sita is Swarup Shakti. No demon can touch her. So Ravana, he kidnapped Sita and then took her to Lanka. And so Sita Devi, she was saying to Lakshman, this second offense, this is why I have to suffer now and stay in the ashram of Valmiki Rishi. So Sita Devi, she was staying there in the ashram, but no one knew at that time she was actually pregnant. And Lakshman and Sumanta, they got on the chariot and they were going back to Ayodhya. And Lakshman, he was feeling in such despair about leaving Sita Devi in the ashram of Valmiki Rishi. And then Sumanta, the chariot driver, he turned to Lakshman and he said, because Lakshman was thinking, how can I stay alive after I've done this? And Sumanta said to him, just be peaceful. Many, many years ago, I was living with your father before you were even born. And after you were born, 2 rishis came to the palace. And Dasaratha Maharaj, he gave pranams to these 2 rishis. And these 2 rishis were Durvasa Muni and Vashishta Rishi. And Dasaratha Maharaj, he said, oh, great rishis, please tell me, what is the destiny of my 4 sons? What is the astrological chart of my 4 sons? And then hearing this questioning, Vashishta Rishi, he just folded his hands and he looked at the ground. But Durvasa Muni, he has a different character. So he spoke up and he said, oh, your son Ram, he will be banished to the forest and he will lose his wife and he will suffer so much. And while he's banished in the forest, you will die in separation from him. And so then Dasaratha Maharaj, he said, oh, now I take you as my Gurudev. And so hearing this from Sumanta, Lakshmanji, he began to wake up and he remembered, oh, Lord Ram is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and he is performing pastimes. So why am I lamenting? And then this is the future. This is Leela. No one can change this. No one can change their destiny. So then Sumanta, he said, I want you to listen to another history. And then he shared another history. In ancient times, there was a great war between the Devas and the Asuras. And in order to get power to win over the Devatas, the demons, they took shelter of the wife of Bhrigu Rishi. And taking shelter of the wife of Bhrigu Rishi, the Devatas, they went to Vamandev on Sutalok. And so, hearing the plight of the Devatas, Vamandev, he took his chakra and he sent it to the wife of Bhrigu Rishi and he chopped off her head and killed her. And then Bhrigu Rishi, he was feeling great distress. Oh, that was my wife. I was very, very attached to her. How could you do this? Ah, alas, alas. And then he took his Brahman thread and he gave a curse to the Lord. And he said, in the future, you will have to suffer so much at the loss of your wife, and you will suffer as I have suffered. And then he broke his Brahman thread and threw the water on the ground, threw the thread on the ground, and gave a curse to the Supreme Lord. So then that is why in Ram Leela, the Supreme Lord is in separation and his wife was stolen from the curse of Bhrigu Rishi. And so hearing this story, Lakshman, he was remembering the pastimes of the Lord. And Sumanta said, the Supreme Lord has appeared in this incarnation as your older brother. And why? Because Ram Leela, if you hear Ram Leela, you will weep, you will cry. And these pastimes of separation, they will make the whole world cry. Like Gurudev gives the example, particularly women, they like to see rom-coms, romantic comedies, and they're crying, or some theatre. And if it's so horrible and you're suffering, why do you go back? And you like to watch the movie over and over again because it invokes emotion. But the pastimes of the Lord, they're not like some mundane movie. This is very, very, very deep. So this pastimes of Lord Ram, they will inundate the entire world and make the world cry, weeping for the pastimes of the Lord. And then hearing such heartbreaking pastimes of the Lord, the jivas, they develop some emotional attraction for the Lord. And so Sita Devi, she was in the ashram of Valmiki, and Lord Ram, he was thinking, I want to do one yagya, Ashwamedha yagya. So he went to Vashishta Rishi and he said, oh Gurudev, please organize all the paraphernalia in the process so we can do one Ashwamedha yagya. And then Vashishta Rishi, he said, oh, actually a householder cannot do a yagya without the presence of his wife. So you should go to Valmiki's ashram and bring Sita back. And then Lord Ram said, oh no, I cannot bring her back. Oh Gurudev, please, there must be another way. And then Vashishta Rishi, he thought about it and he thought, you can make one golden murti of Sita and you can have that next to you in the yagya, and in this way you can do the sacrifice together. So Lord Ram had one beautiful murti of Sita Devi fashioned out of gold, and he had that placed next to him in the Ashwamedha yagya. And under the guidance of the Vashishta Rishi, every year the yagya would take place and a new golden murti of Sita Devi was made for each year. This is called Swarna Sita, the golden form of Sita. And then one day, Valmiki, he was also trained in Dhanurveda, the Veda of war, and he was also very well versed in singing. So as the two boys of Sita Devi, they took birth and they began to grow up in the ashram of Valmiki Rishi, Lava and Kush. And so Valmiki, he trained them in Dhanurveda and archery, and also how to sing very beautifully one poem that he had composed called the Ramayana. And so these boys were expert in singing the Ramayana, these two young brahmacharis. And so one day, Valmiki Rishi, he took these Lava and Kush, these two shining brahmacharis, to the Ashwamedha yagya of Lord Ram. And the yagya goes on for quite some time, and in between, in some breaks, there's some dancing, some singing, some performances. So then Valmiki Rishi, during one break, he said to Lava and Kush, oh, you should nicely sing this poem. And then these two boys, they began to recite the Ramayana, the pastimes of Lord Ram. And Lord Ram was shocked hearing these wonderful pastimes. And then when they'd finished, he said to Lakshman, oh, you should give 800 gold coins to these two brahmacharis, and you should ask them, what is their dynasty, and who is their father? And then so Lakshman, he came there with 800 gold coins as a donation to these two brahmacharis. And then Lakshman said, oh, please take this gift of 800 gold coins and tell me, what is your dynasty and who is your father? And those two boys, they looked at Lakshman and they said to him, oh, we thought you were a very learned person, but actually now we're beginning to have doubts. Because for a brahmachari, father is Gurudev and mother is Veda mantra, because the brahmachari gets new life when Guru gives mantra. So for a brahmachari, father is Gurudev and mother is Veda mantra. And then hearing this answer, everyone was very impressed with these two brahmacharis. They follow the Maryada, the etiquette very, very nicely. And then those two boys, and they said to Lakshman, we are brahmacharis. We live in the forest, we live off roots and fruits. We don't need any gold coins. So then, after the yajna, they went back with Valmiki, back to the ashram. And when they came back to the ashram, they went to their mother and they said, oh mother, there was one king, and next to the king there was one golden Murti who looked just like you. The only difference is you are breathing and the Murti, it didn't seem to be breathing. Otherwise they were non-different. And then, hearing this, tears started to flow from the eyes of Sita Mata, because she realized that the king had rejected the queen, but Lord Ram had never rejected Sita. And in the meantime, Lord Ram, he had realized those were my sons, and I cannot tolerate this separation any longer. They should come back and the family should be together. So then he told Vashishta Rishi, and Vashishta Rishi sent the message to Valmiki, and Sita Devi and Lava and Kush, they came to the yajna. And then for the first time, Lord Ram and the citizens of Ayodhya who were present, they saw Sita Devi holding the hands of her two sons, the sons of Lord Ram. And also Lord Ram had instructed Vashishta, I want you to think of some way that you can prove the chastity of Sita, because that what had been in question. So then, when Sita Devi arrived with her two boys, finally the family was reunited together. And then Lord Ram, they wanted the test of Sita's chastity. And Sita Devi, she folded her palms, folded her hands, and she said, "Oh Mother Earth, if in my whole life I have never served another man, if in my whole life I have never even entertained the thought of another man, then please accept me." And then just then the ground opened up, and from the ground a throne appeared, and on top of the throne was Prithvi Devi, the earth goddess, because the Sita Devi is the daughter of the earth goddess. And then she opened her arms, and Sita Devi, she went running to her mother, and then taking her daughter upon the throne on her lap, she took Sita Devi, and then the throne descended back into the earth, and the earth closed up. So first Lord Ram lost his wife, and then he got her back, and then he lost her again, and then he got her back. Now he's lost her, but now he has her sons. So all throughout Ram Leela, there's just tragedy. There's just, it invokes emotion, the entire Ramayana. And then Lord Ram, he took his bow, and he was furious, and he said to Mother Earth, "Oh, the ocean, trembling in fear from me, gave me passage in the past, so you should do the same." And then he took one arrow on his bow, and he said, "I will destroy the entire world, and I will scatter it to ashes. Give me back my Sita." And then Valmiki Rishi, he came forth and he said, "Oh my Lord, be at peace. Sita Devi, she has returned to Nitya Ayodhya, the eternal Ayodhya in the spiritual sky. And your pastimes here, they are drawing to a close. And so Sita Devi, she is there waiting for you in Sanket Dham, in eternal Ayodhya. So you should wind up your pastimes, and you too should return there. And Brahmaji, these were actually the words of Brahma saying this. And then Lord Ram, his pastimes, they came to an end at the end of Ram Leela. So, coming back to Mamgachi, Lord Ram, in the birthplace of Vrindavan Das Thakura, he is sitting under the Rambat tree, smiling, remembering his pastimes. And Sita Devi, she's inquiring, oh, what pastimes are you seeing? And Lord Ram, he had instructed Sita Devi about the glories of separation. And Sita asked, if I'm Vishnu Priya and you take sannyas and you leave me, why would you do that? And because Lord Ram had said, just like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I reciprocate with everyone. So in Ram Leela, Sita is sent to the forest in the ashram of Valmiki. But in Gora Leela, I will go to the forest and you will worship the golden form of me. There's one temple in Modrumadwip Dham where Vishnu Priya's golden murti, you can still go there and have darshan. We go there on Modrumadwip Parakram. So all Leelas, they are reconciled in Gora Leela. So in this way, anything that is left unreciprocated, any loose ends that haven't been tied up, are all tied up in Gora Leela. And so in Ram Leela, Ram, he is there with the golden Sita, but in Gora Leela, Sita, in the form of Vishnu Priya, she is there with the golden Thakuraji of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Lord Ram was remembering all of this in the birthplace of Vrindavan Das Thakura. Vrindavan Das Thakura ki Jai. Lord Sitaram ki Jai. Lakshman ji ki Jai. Gaura Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki Jai. Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam. Go Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.